So back, we're talking FF7, we're talking Rebirth. We have a bit of an update for the game about an actual update coming to the game. They are once again going to try to improve performance mode, which I guess apparently is bad. I don't know. I've been playing my playthrough of Rebirth on graphics mode, and it's been perfectly fine for me. In my playthrough, since we last talked, it was like, 16 hours into the game. I was in the Junon area, kind of completed everything before going into Under Junon. Right now, I'm at like 35 hours, I think, and I'm in the Krell prison, or the Dust Bowl, as it's called in this game. Get through a minute, it's taken a while. I've tried to put in a lot of time in the last like several days since we last talked or whatever. It's just, there's so much to do. There's really not actually like a lot of like the world intel stuff after Junon, really. Like, because when you get to Under Junon and you go to like the actual town of Junon and stuff, the Upper Junon, it's really just story stuff. And then once you get to Krell or Costa del Sol, it's just like story stuff there too for a bit. And once you leave, you can do a little bit of world intel stuff, but there's not a lot. There's not, because you can only do like a certain area, because you got to cross like the river with the buggy to get to do the other like world intels and towers and all that other shit. So there's really not a whole lot to do in terms of that, like the open world stuff. Really, it's just there's a lot of story stuff, but we're getting there slowly but surely. So we're just going to hop right into this. We have an article from One More Game. Part of what makes Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so good is its stunning vistas and visual fidelity, but many have expressed their disappointment with how much lower the performance mode's visual quality turned out to be compared to the much sharper graphics mode. During his visit to the Philippines, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director Naoki Hamaguchi mentions that while he cannot reveal the full details of what it contains, he says that an update patch is on the way, and one of the things that will fix is visual quality and performance mode. So Hamaguchi is quoted as saying, "We've received a lot of feedback on whether the graphics and the performance mode will be improved or not. We hear you, and we are currently working on an update patch to improve that aspect. I don't think the release date would be far away from now." When asked for more details, Hamaguchi clarifies that he cannot divulge the full contents of the patch, but part of the update will address instances in the game where the characters can look a little bit scary when the lighting hits them at a certain angle. We have heard from players that in certain situations, the facial lighting makes some character shadows look very scary, so it's one part of the update that we are working on. So we can definitely pause there for a second and talk. Like the lighting thing, I can agree with. People have been talking about this since the demo. There's some crazy screenshots and stuff of just close up on like Cloud's face and stuff, and it just looks haunting. But in general, I think the lighting in this game is weird in certain situations. Like for one, the Costa del Sol area that I just came out of, like it looks so washed out. There's like too much brightness or something. It's not like a settings thing. It's just the game. And just like with the remake project itself and other games that do it, I don't like the fucking where you're in a building and you walk out the door and it blasts you with the brightest light possible and then it has to adjust. I don't know if they do that for like that level of realism or something. I just don't like it. I just personally think it looks like ugly as hell 100% of the time. I don't know why anybody would like that or want that. In terms of like the weird like characters' faces in the shadows, like I don't know how they didn't see that beforehand. Like there's no way they were playtesting the game or playing themselves and didn't see this. Like there's no way that their dev team was like didn't hit a shadow at one point where like that face is fucking weird. We should probably fix that. Or like if they were jumping between like graphics mode and performance mode, there's no way they didn't see like the difference in like quality and stuff, right? Like it's just kind of weird. I don't know. Because this is the second time now that they're trying to improve the quality of performance mode, like the visual quality, right? They did this with the demos, and then the update was coming out whenever the Junon demo released, but that was going to carry over to the full game and try to improve the fidelity and stuff with performance mode, and now we're having to do it again after launch. It's just like, I don't know why it's so hard to get, man. Like, Remake did this, I think, just fine, right? Like, Remake PS5 version had performance mode, graphics mode, and I don't recall that ever having any updates. Maybe it did, maybe I'm wrong on that, but it seemed like they got it right. Most games seem to get it right, at least that I see. It's more or less it for the video, though. It's just another update that's going to try to improve performance mode yet again. This article was from a few days ago, so at that time, Hamaguchi was being quoted as it should be releasing relatively soon. So this could come out in the next, day or two after this video potentially, or next several days or so. Because again, this is a little bit older news, but I've been so invested in trying to get through my fucking playthrough, I'm not like keeping up with actual news for the game. Speaking of my playthrough again, I actually had somebody comment on one of my videos saying that I should do like a kind of a recap or discussion about the Krell prison dying stuff. Obviously, it's my favorite thing. A lot of people know, it's kind of cool, a lot of people know me for the dying stuff because I talk about it so much. Like, people hit me up about the dying shit. Want me to kind of get my thoughts on it? I think we might do that. Kind of like another, I'm this far into the game, here's my thoughts so far sort of thing. I do want to do like an actual review for the game at some point once I actually beat it, but obviously we're going to have to like talk about, discuss theories and ideas of what's happened in the game itself. I am aware of some shit. Obviously, the game's been out there for a while now. I don't know every little thing about every little thing, but I do know quite a bit about what happens in the game itself, but I want to get through it myself and play through it and see the full context of everything before we actually talk about it. But yeah, we'll do like some sort of like a discussion about the dying stuff for sure. That'll obviously be in like the next day or two, and we can actually give a little thing here with the dying stuff, because they do show you dying earlier in this game than the original, right? For one, they give you the flashback of like Bear being like pro Shinra, wanting to move on to Mako, and Dying being the one that wants to stay with like being like a coal mining village or whatever. They give you that early because in the original game that happens in like the actual like desert prison, right? That's when you get the backstory. They give it to you a lot earlier in the actual town of Krell. I think you get a little bit of backstory in the original game in Krell, maybe. like right next to like the thing you take to the gold saucer. I don't remember. It's been a minute. But also you see dying within the gold saucer, which I like. So they're showing the player that it's not Barrett, right? With the original game, even the player wasn't 100% sure because he's the only guy with the gun arm that we know of at that point, right? Whereas with Rebirth, they actually show you dying. Barrett sees dying, trying to track and follow dying. So the player knows that it's not Barrett that's like killing people, but like Cloud and the gang don't think it's him, and Dio's not entirely sure, right? Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to me if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DavidYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like low gain or leave it like Cobain.